there, it's Courtney with Cake and Kale Lifestyle. So as you can see today, I am au naturel. I've got zero makeup on and my hair is still kind of like drying from the shower. And I'm wearing this I'm just basically wearing a sweat suit, like tuxedo type thing. Like I'm wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt in the exact same color. Um, but it's kind of on purpose because today I'm talking about judgment. And I feel that as women, it's something we're all too familiar with, but also something that really needs to be talked about. So there's this concept that I've studied called health at every size, and it blew my mind when I had started learning about it and heard about it. It's so interesting to me, but I don't know why I never got it before. Because here's the deal with it. So health at every size is the idea that you can eat healthy and not be skinny. And it's a concept that is the complete opposite of what diet culture teaches us. I mean, we are raised as a society to believe that if you eat healthy, you'll be thin. And that is just not true. Obviously, there are so many other factors that play into it. Genetics, your age, whatever's going on in your hormonal system. I mean, so many things have factors that play into it. And it's so funny because, we all know that girl who can eat garbage till the cows come home and she still is rocking like an amazing bikini body. And we don't think if someone is heavier and maybe, not wearing a bikini on the beach, maybe fitting into a larger size, that they don't eat right. They don't eat healthy. It's just the natural assumption that we have. So I really want to talk today about how that is, number one, not true. And number two, kind of how to rewire your brain so that you're not automatically passing that kind of judgment on another woman. Because it's an interesting time right now for women, isn't it? There's a lot of unity going on, and there's a lot of openness going on about sort of the destructive way that we're treated by our male coworkers, but just by society in general. And it's going on in the body world too. I mean, it's going on. You've got all these body positivity things happening, and these brave, beautiful, amazing women who are really standing up against these kind of typecasting, basically. And I think that in order for us to continue making changes, we have to take an extra step in learning how to not be judging ourselves. All of us feel judgment placed on us at one point or another. I would say every day. And I think, it's funny because as a mom who has been a working mother and now a stay-at-home mother, and had so many other friends kind of balancing, trying to figure out how to deal with kids and working and where their worth was with all of that. Hold on a second. What is it, honey? Okay, well, I'll be right there. That was one of the twins. All right. I got to be quick here. They're going to come knocking on the door. What was I talking about? Now, of course, I don't remember. All right. Body positivity, judging people, judging each other. We're just always, I just feel like we're always judging. We're oh, well, okay, here's a perfect example. The gym that I work out at, the kids all bring snacks, or their parents bring snacks for the kids to eat. And so I noticed how some of the parents brought these really nice, metal tray type things. They had all these different compartments in it, but they weren't plastic. And I was they were BPA free, mind you, but I was bringing these plastic, totally cheap stuff off of Amazon. Not nice at all. Just whatever. They were crappy. And I judged. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a better mom than me. She's got the, super sleek looking metal, totally eco-friendly container. And I've just got these cheap plastic things I got off of Amazon. Now, granted, she's only got to wash one container because she only had one kid, and I have three. So that's 3 containers I have to wash. But it's also 3 containers I have to pay for. And I looked up those containers online, and they ain't cheap. But why did I feel as though this woman was a better mother than me because she had a nicer container, a bento box. That's the word I'm looking for. She had a nice bento box and I didn't, but that's just kind of like where we're at, where our mind goes, right? So we have to start turning around those sorts of thoughts. So back to the health at every size. Okay, so aside from the fact that it's just super destructive, because it means that when you look at somebody that's bigger than you, your mind automatically goes to the thoughts of that person isn't a healthy eater. That person doesn't exercise. That person doesn't have a healthy lifestyle. That person doesn't have self-worth. That person doesn't care about themselves. These are thoughts that go through people's minds. Maybe not yours, but it certainly are thoughts that like come out in plenty of other people's minds. I'm not going to lie. I've definitely had my moments. Interestingly, I had a circumstance happen to me that even as a health coach now, and I talk about the body positivity and I talk about, loving yourself regardless of your size, I still find that my mind goes to those sorts of judgments at times. I was at an event where I was speaking on body positivity and this woman came up to me afterwards and she was definitely, she was larger. And, she was telling me this story about how she had just had thyroid surgery like 2 years prior. And she put on 75 or 80 pounds. She put on for her, body frame, which was, quite a bit of weight. And when she first started talking to me, was thinking, immediately seeing that she was on the heavier side, thought maybe this is someone that I can work with. Maybe this is someone who I can help with food. And as she continued talking, she says to me, I'm healthier now since the surgery, even though this is the size my body is at, than I was prior to the surgery. And it was like, boom, I'm such a jackass for immediately making a judgment that this person, because they were on the larger side, wasn't making good choices about their food or maybe their movement. And it just goes to show, like, we really don't know what's going on with anybody else's body. So aside from the fact that it just makes us jerks for judging, it does something else. And so when you start associating healthy eating with thinness, and your only goal is to then be thin, so then you start eating healthy, what happens when the weight stops coming off? Or what happens when you gain some weight and then you can't seem to lose it again? You have to get the idea of eating healthy equals thinness out of your mind, because healthy eating is a lifestyle. It is a lifelong journey. It is not something where one day you wake up and you're eating nothing but Buddha bowls every single day for the rest of your life. Doesn't work that way. It truly is a journey. You have days where you're eating ice cream and donuts, and you have days where you're eating, seaweed salad and sashimi. It goes both ways. But if your weight is your main concern and getting to a size that is smaller is your main goal, and the only way you see to reach that goal is by quote unquote like healthy eating, you're not building a positive relationship with food, and you're not building a positive relationship with yourself or with your body. You're only thinking about getting to one destination, and that is to be thinner, to be smaller, to wear a size smaller, to look a certain way in the mirror. And that is not going to sustain you. I'm not saying that being smaller or losing weight isn't going to be something that's healthier for you or good for you. Maybe you are somebody who aren't, you're not making good choices with your food, and you've sort of, like they say, let yourself go or whatever. You've gotten busy. You've had a hard time finding time to exercise, and you want to lose some weight. I understand that. And that should be happening when you start making better choices. But if your main goal is just weight loss and you're not trying to really build a better relationship between yourself and your eating patterns, you're not going to really fulfill yourself, and you're not really going to get anywhere. Because the moment that weight starts coming back on, and 95% of diets fail, okay, 95% of diets fail, and yet we're always doing them. So yeah, the weight will come back on. Maybe not for every single person out there. There's that 5% where it doesn't, but for the rest, yeah, it comes back on. where are you going to be? How are you going to feel about yourself? You have to start looking at how your body does with food, how your body does with exercise, and get realistic with yourself. Not set goals for yourself that aren't going to work for you. Don't decide that you need to work out 6 days a week and eat, X amount of calories if you're someone who's working 70 hours a week. That's not going to happen. How are you going to do that? You're setting yourself up for failure. So you have to turn it around in your mind with the healthy eating equals thinness, because it's just not true. Healthy eating equals happiness. Healthy eating equals a longer life. Healthy eating equals fulfillment. Healthy eating equals better skin, nicer nails, a light inside you, like you literally glow. And I said it before and I'll say it again, healthy eating does not mean eating clean. That is not healthy eating. Healthy eating is nourishing yourself with foods that make you feel good, and taking care of yourself and being kind to yourself and being good to yourself. That is what healthy eating is. And so I guess I just really want to urge you that if you feel as though you have that sort of mindset where you see another woman who's larger than you and you automatically think that they're not taking care of themselves, pick up on that. Notice that. Be aware of that when you're out in the grocery store next or doing your Christmas shopping and whatever you're finishing up this week. Like, see what kind of judgments you place on the women that you see around you. Catch yourself with it, because that's really how you start learning to stop imposing your judgments on other people. Like I said, we all have our own story. We don't know each other's story. We don't know squat about each other, really. And if we're going to empower ourselves as women to take the role that we're really supposed to be taking in society, to be leaders, to be examples for our daughters especially, and to support each other. I mean, I get chills just thinking about how amazing it would be to live in a society where we're not judging each other as women. We're really lifting each other up. We're not, shaming each other for our bodies, shaming each other for sexual choices, shaming each other for food choices, for working choices, mothering choices, clothing choices, husband choices, vacation choices. I mean, we put so much shame out there. We put so much judgment out there on each other. And we have to start fixing that. And so for me, I work with the body, I work with health, and I work with, food. And so that's kind of where I'm taking my stand, and that's where I'm practicing my own, releasing myself of those sort of false judgments, and recognizing that there is such a thing called health as every size. I have many clients who eat so beautifully for them, and yet they don't fit the mold of like your typical thin person, but they are happy, and they really are truly healthy. So I just want to ask, as a woman, as a mother, really take in the kind of judgment that you're putting on other women out there. Think about it, and instead of the next time just assuming that somebody who looks a certain way must live a certain lifestyle, send a prayer out for that person, or just send something out into the universe. If you're not necessarily like religious, just do something light, because when you're judging somebody, it's darkness. So you need to turn that around. You need to send out something positive, and really think about this idea of how judgmental are you of other women and their bodies. Have you always thought that health equals thinness? Do you just automatically assume that somebody on Instagram who, looks like a UFC fighter is eating healthy? Because I know plenty of people who do the weightlifting competitions who are in absolutely poor health. And it can go both ways. So just try to remove your judgments on those things and really put your focus back on yourself. Your goal is to get healthy. What does that look like for you? When you take getting thin and losing weight out of the picture. What does being healthy look like for you? This is Courtney Kopek with Cake and Kale Lifestyle. You can reach me at Courtney at Cake and Kale Lifestyle for email, or you can go to my website, which is www.cakeandkalelifestyle.com. Have a beautiful day.